back from Harfield. What a volley! Scott Harfield! He's been threatening that recently. And all the Burnley players run to the Darwin end. Oh, what a goal! What a goal from Robbie Blake! Burnley's first goal in the Premier League is something very, very special.
Wade Elliott has that change of pace and he's got away from Montgomery into the path of McCann and the follow-up finds the net. What a strike from Wade Elliott! A bolt from the claret and blue.
Oh goodness me! What a goal from Patterson! If that is to be the one that takes them to Wembley, you cannot argue with that. Pure quality.
Here goes Mike Conroy. Still time for a winner, maybe. John Francis! They came to York in their thousands. They're going home as champions.
I mean, if there's any justice in the world, Burnley would surely score from this corner. Swung right in there. Ball in there. Yeah! Michael Kennan! Oh, that's justice! That is justice at the Amex Stadium. Burnley are level and deserve to be.
Hello everybody and welcome along to the pre-game show. We've been anticipating since we got relegated back in May. It's the Blackburn pre-game show with me, Joe Redmond, here on the Turfcast podcast YouTube channel and of course the podcast feed. Here we are. I don't know how you're all feeling. If you're feeling anything like me, it's very, very nervous. We have got an enemy waiting to chat to us. I will bring Dan in just about a minute or so. I did see him chuckling away actually, obviously because the first bit of commentary on that is from when we beat Blackburn with the Scott Harfield goal. I did see him chuckling away. I didn't even anticipate that. I'm like, as soon as I played it, I thought I'll have a look, and he was chuckling away. But nervous. I just feel like, and I'll ask Dan this in a second, I just feel like the pressure is on us now because we've been better than them for the last 12, 15 years. We've been playing in Europe. They've been down to League One. And now we've kind of sort of like met in the middle. And now we're at this position where whoever wins this game will be top for the World Cup break. I didn't say for Christmas then, but of course we come back before then. So I feel like the pressure's on us. And I feel like they'll be going into it with not a nothing to lose thing, because obviously nobody wants to lose against their rivals. But do you remember, for those of you old enough, do you remember when we played them in 2000 when they came to the turf? I went on that buzzing thinking, if we get beat, it's not the end of the world because, 5 years ago or whatever, they were winning the league and stuff, and now we're level. Obviously, difference was, I think they were so much better than us in that game, and it showed, and obviously the less said about the game at Ewood, the better. That season, they were just so much better than us, whereas they kind of like put us to the sword and made an example of us, and then obviously they went up, and then we didn't see each other again for a few years again, which just seemed to be the case. But I kind of feel like the pressure's on us to sort of like keep this 11-year winless streak for them going, because of course we had to endure 34, 35 years. Obviously we won't get to that because we're playing each other a lot more now, but it'd be nice, maybe to get to another 12 at least. 12 would be nice, but I kind of feel like the pressure's on us, and not just that as well. Like we've come down from the Prem, as I've said. We are one of the favourites now after we've done well this season to go back up. Everyone's just expecting Blackburn to fade. Even the majority of Blackburn fans, again, will ask Dan. In fact, tell you what, instead of just saying we'll ask Dan, let's bring him in. Let's get him on stream. Here he is. How you doing, mate? You okay?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks for having us on. And yeah, I was having a chuckle at that Harfield commentary. I knew it would be the first one on. We've got the David Dunn one on ice, so
yeah. You know what I was gonna do? I was gonna completely change it and put just loads of goals in there against you. Like get the Danny Ings one in there. Get the Carling Cup one in there. Even the Micah Hyde one from the FA Cup game when you obviously beat us in the end. But decent goal. But I just couldn't be arsed, if I'm being honest with you. But how you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, nervous for Saturday.
Yeah.
Sunday, really. Yeah, really nervous for it. I just don't want to lose.
Yeah, that's it for me. What's the overriding emotion then? Is it for you? Because is it excitement? Is it nervousness? Because like I said, I kind of feel like the pressure is on us. Like if I were you, I feel like I'd be going into this with more excitement than nervousness. How are you feeling?
Yeah, it's a bit like that. I think if you ask most Rovers fans, obviously we all want to win it, but we know you're a good side. As much as it pains us to say it, you picked up some good results, and I think we'll look at it thinking we're kind of in the situation that if this were anyone else we're playing, if we're playing Sheffield United away, Norwich away, going to a side that's top of the league, winning games, scoring goals, I think we'd be like, well, if we lose, it's not really the end of the world, but it'll feel like it. And with the added thing of 4 weeks off afterwards, we can't go again on Tuesday and then just get rid of this game, forget it happened. It's something that's going to sit with us. So I think, as much as I'd like to say when, the pressure's on you, I feel like it's a statement for us if we win. It's a real push for us to go on because, like you said, we're probably expected to fade away going into January and beyond.
Yeah, well, it does seem to be something that happens pretty much every season for you boys, but obviously now it's a different management. I do want to talk about, obviously, JDT, John Dahl Tomasson, who's come in, got rid of Mowbray, I think kind of sort of like ran his course at Blackburn, if I'm being honest with you. It did become sort of like, not necessarily a laughing stock with Burnley fans, but we kind of knew he was a bit of a poor manager and you were just kind of sticking with him for the sake of sticking with him. But you've come in, John Dahl Tomasson's come in, he's changed it up, hasn't he? What sort of like, play? How do you play now? What sort of game do you play now under the new management?
I think it's a mix, which was probably Mowbray's biggest downfall, that we kind of had one way with Mowbray. Yes, we changed it every year. Like 1 year we tried a passing game and it didn't work because we didn't have the players, but he wouldn't change it. He couldn't notice that, it's not working at all. Whereas JDT's done it. He's learned to change. We had the last home game we played, one of the last ones against Birmingham. We were under we went 2 up and we got put under pressure a lot, and he noticed it straight away and he switched. He brought another centre back on who can just head the ball out. He's very adaptable, and that is probably the thing that's done it for us, because although we've not come from behind yet, when we're winning games and we go under pressure, we're holding out because we're actually learning how to adapt to it. We're learning what changes to make. I wouldn't say the football's a million times better. I wouldn't say it's 100 times better. It's just we're finding a way to win now, whereas Mowbray was pretty much, you knew 20 minutes into the game whether we were going to score a goal or not. And, that's the difference this year, despite obviously all the losses we've had.
Yeah, talk to me about your season then, because like you've lost more than some of the teams in the relegation zone, but yet you've won the most in the league. Yet to draw a game, which is just typical. It'll be 1-1 on Sunday. Just you watch. What's it, outside looking in? Even if it wasn't Blackburn, I'd be looking at it and going, "These are weird. These are a very weird side." Like, what do you think's happening with that? Like, is it just because you don't have the mentality to get back into games when you go down, or do you think on the flip side of it, your defense is so solid that as soon as you go in front, you're going to win the game?
Yeah, it's a question we've asked for all season, that everyone's asked why we can't do it, and we've still not found the answer. You mentioned about us not being able to come from behind, and that's it. Rovers have got a habit of, the moment we go 1 down, we look worse than we did at 0-0, and it only looks like it's going one way. It looks like it's going to go 2 or 3-0 there. Reading away is the prime example. Early in the season, we'd won 3 in a row. We went down there. I think they'd just been beat 4-0 off Rotherham, and we kind of looked at it and went, we're going to get 4 wins in a row. And we went 1 down, and then we crumbled and went 2 down. And then we started playing at 3-0 down, and it was obviously too late. It's a question that I think we're going to keep asking until we actually either come from behind to win a game or we draw a game. I'd love to come from behind on Sunday and do it, but it's a peculiar situation. Like you said, you'd be looking at it thinking it's weird, and I know I would with another club. I think we're 10 games now off the English record, I think it is, for draws, matches without a draw or something. It's the strangest situation, and until Rovers learn to find that way back into a game when we're behind, I think that's what's going to stop us from properly dreaming of, maintaining a position.
Yeah, you are not. I hate the term punching above your weight, but you are doing better than expected. Is what I'm trying to say so far this season. Nobody had you as potential top 6, even, to be fair. Maybe outsiders for the top 6, but you find yourself in the top 2. Obviously, if you win this, you go into the World Cup break top. I sort of like said earlier, you do tend to fade a lot, a bit of tongue-in-cheek sort of comment. But are you expecting you to sort of like maintain this? Do you think you can maintain it, or are you expecting a sort of like a drop off towards January, February?
I think we'll drop off a bit, but I think we'll be around the playoff picture rather than the massive where we've fallen in the previous years. I think under Mowbray we went from We were 6th at one point when we were leading at Brentford. I think we ended up 15th in league 2 months later. I don't think that'll happen massively. I think we'll drop off because I think Middlesbrough will come into it, under Michael Carrick. I think Norwich are always finding a way of winning. Sheffield United, obviously, yourself. So that's 4 teams that I think are just going to eventually outplay us in terms of getting points. But I don't think we'll fade off, like we have done before. It all depends on January. We're looking at players for January. One thing Rovers haven't done in recent years is gone for it in January. Last year, we were flying in the league. We beat Bournemouth, and Mowbray there's rumours that Mowbray maybe didn't want to buy a player. He didn't want to have the pressure of spending 3-4 million. And ultimately it cost us because we were then missing that game changer. So if we can add in January, I personally think we'll get playoffs if we add the right players and keep hold of Diaz, which, although it looks likely now, what if a Premier League club's desperate and says, we'll chuck 15 million away for him? It's a tough situation. If we keep Diaz, then I think we could do it, but who knows? It's Rovers. They surprise us anytime, even when we think it's set in stone.
It's weird, the Diaz situation, is it? Because I've seen him talking about how he expects to stay there. It seems like he's bought into what you're trying to achieve. He's talking about promotion, which I saw on Twitter the other day. But like you said, if a Leeds, for example, who Bamford gets another injury, Bournemouth, a team that's down there, and obviously the next part of the story is he's out of contract in the summer, so he's going to be leaving in the summer regardless, of course. So that if someone came in and said, "We'll give you 10 mil," do you think then in that hypothetical scenario that your board will be like, "Yeah, we'll take that"?
I don't. I think the Venky's, all the criticism. I know Burnley fans love a joke about them, but the one thing they've done throughout the time here is they will hold out on a player. They will lose money on a player rather than, especially in the last 5 years, rather than, getting him off for money. Adam Armstrong was a prime example. We had him on an extension and we had the chance of the playoffs and they said, keep him. Just keep him, try and get playoffs, because they know what the Premier League's worth. I think it'd take upwards of 15 million. The highest bid we had in the summer was 12 million and they turned that down straight away almost. I don't even think they entertained Everton with it. So they're not a board, they're not the owners that will sell a player to get the money back. They know what the Premier League's worth. They probably know that for Rovers fans, they've got to get back to the Premier League to at least be liked by the fans again, because that's been the biggest issue. You'll know more than anyone how far we've fallen and you'll have enjoyed the years we've had, but I think they just know that the Premier League's the big thing. And I'm sure it's a thing with the manager as well. What are you showing to your manager if you're second in the league and then you're selling his best striker, regardless of, his contract situation?
Yeah, there is 2 things I want to pick up on there. You mentioned Venky's, and obviously 3-4 years ago, it were all fun and games, chickens on the pitch, all that sort of thing. Is the tide turning in Blackburn's fans' opinion on Venky's? Because there's no noise about them anymore, and that tends to be that it's like a referee. If you're not talking about the referee, he's kind of doing a good job. It's same with your board. No one's criticising them so much anymore. Well, I don't see it anyway, and Burnley fans aren't joking about them anymore. So has the tide turned a little bit with Venky's now? Did the Blackburn fans kind of like them, nearly like them, on the way to liking them?
It's a tough. What they've done is they've just kept out of the club. Like the first 5 years, I won't go into the full details, but they had certain ways of going about stuff and they were pretty public and they kind of got bitten by it and they kind of sat back and just let the football people run it. They're not football people. They're really wealthy. I think people forget how wealthy they are actually. Yeah. But they're pretty wealthy owners that they want the best for the club. I truly believe they want the best for the club. I just think that they got it completely wrong. And now they've learnt to leave it to the football guys. We've just appointed a director of football in the summer who, personally, in my eyes, if Rovers are going to make it back to the Premier League in the near future, he's the man that's going to kind of spearhead it all. And they've learnt that, just don't get involved with it. It's not as easy as it seems. You can't come and buy a football club and next thing you know, you're walking through the Premier League getting however much money in a year. They'll sit back. Personally, I just don't want them to come and disrupt anything. The worst thing they could do in my eyes now is come back when we start doing well. I'd rather they sit in the back, keep pumping the money in, which I think they will do, and just leave the football people to get on with it, really.
Fair enough. Like I said, there's no noise about them anymore, so I kind of think that they must be doing an okay job. Especially cut out the fall that you had in recent years, the rise that you've had after that fall. Admittedly, you shouldn't have had that fall. The board didn't get involved. You may not have had that fall, but they've done well enough to get you back to where they were. And it was Diaz, the enemy, the guy that I think we're all dreading. If you're on the claret and blue side, should I say, the guy that we're all dreading. Like, he reminds me a bit of when we were going into the game when we hadn't beaten you for so long. And Danny Ings were on form, and we were like, yeah, we have a really good striker who's going to be in the Premier League, going to play for England. Obviously, Diaz won't play for England with his Chile alliances, but, we knew that he could hurt you. And it was the same with Andre Gray, like a few years later, and obviously he got the penalty at the turf. I kind of feel like you have a striker that's in form now and can hurt us. Just how well is he playing at the minute?
Oh, he's unbelievable. And I think his biggest thing is, even when he doesn't score, he's an influence on the game. He's really energetic. We've seen him sprinting in the 98th minute, and that's kind of the thing that's come on from last year. So he were really bad, to be fair, for the first 2 seasons. The third season, the COVID season, he kind of got a few goals, then got injured and went back to his old self. And then last year he started scoring goals, but maybe his all-round game wasn't there. And now he's on to that all-round game of pressing. Even if he might have a stinker, he's had a few games this season where he's been really poor in front of goal, but he's gone on to, make a block that might lead to a goal. He's definitely the guy in form, and he's formed a really good partnership with Sam Gallagher alongside him, who personally I think they'll give your team a good goal, especially with maybe I wouldn't say your downside of your team, but maybe the weak point is, the crosses, which Gallagher, 6'4", he should be winning some at least.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, like, who else should we be looking out for? Because obviously we're all aware of how good Diaz is, but is the next guy after that Gallagher then?
I'd probably say so. Just given, I think the stats this year is he started 11 games and we've won 10 of them, so that kind of tells you that he's at least doing something right. Ryan Hedges, really good attacking midfielder, just missed out on the Wales World Cup squad, which he really should have got into. Just a big player, for the size he is, you probably won't expect him to move like he does. I think Rovers, there's so many players that are full of quality that maybe aren't getting recognised as much as, your Norwiches, your Sheffield United, Adam Wharton, Lewis Travis, Scott Wharton, Dom Hyam at the back from Coventry's.
Yeah, he's been a good signing, to be fair.
Yeah, he's been unbelievable. We couldn't believe, we've replaced Darrell Lenny, I knew was a Rovers centre-back for 7 years, and although he was solid, he had his weak sides, and we kind of improved on that as such. It's full of talent, I'm not just saying that because we're playing Burnley and I want to batter you. I'm saying it because there is some really good players.
Yeah, so obviously we've kind of looked at your squad there. What's your thoughts on our squad? Not necessarily your opinion on them, because it's obviously not going to be a good opinion, but sort of like, who are you wary of? Because I don't see our squad as like a standout, obvious, very good player like you have in Diaz. Like, there's other areas of your squad which are decent, as you just mentioned, but I think Diaz is the main point. I think if we keep him quiet, and probably Gallagher, then I think we win the game. But with us, I feel like there's dangers in midfield, on the wings. Jay Rodriguez is up top as well, obviously Burnley born and bred. So where do you look at that Burnley side and think, yeah, that guy could really hurt us there?
I think it's your front four. Your front four really worry me. I've watched a bit of Burnley, obviously. You've been on Sky quite a bit, haven't you? And we kind of knew you'd get picked up by Sky with the Vincent Kompany stuff and that. But
yeah, I think that's why it is.
Yeah, and Benson off the bench, we spoke before, didn't we? And he's kind of the one that I'm worried about on Sunday.
Yeah, don't turn up on Saturday, mate. It's definitely Sunday.
I might do it this rate, you never know. Just your front four, really. I think they're the ones that I look at and think, are they going to be the ones that causes issues? Because like I've already said, when Rovers go behind, we don't win a game. And if you've got a front four with that much quality, I think we're gonna have to hit you early and get that early goal, because we're so good when we're leading. So it's stopping that front four for me. If we can stop them, isolate them, I think Rovers have a really good chance. Nathan Teller, Jay Rodriguez, you mentioned, he's still going strong, still a really good quality player. There's a lot of players in your side that I think, God, if we had him in our team, we might be the ones pushing on, getting that extra step up the table. Taylor, I will bellish, Rovers, and I can't you know, I never thought he'd turn out to be maybe what Tosin Adarabioyo did after his loan spell, go on and play Prem yet. But he clearly had talent at Rovers, and, you know, he's one that worries me. I think I always worry when we play a former player, but when it's a former player doing as well as he is, I think that adds another level to him. You know, I've been impressed by him this year.
Yeah, he's a very good defender, and I think he will play for England. Obviously, the fact that he's England under-21 captain, I think, speaks volumes. He's very highly thought of in the England setup, and I do think he will play for England quite on a regular basis. I will do very, 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 very well to keep hold of him, which I definitely don't think we will. He'll go back to City and probably break into their team in the next 3-4 years. One thing I do want to ask is, I do believe that genuinely, as I just said on your show earlier, that we are, pound for pound, man for man, the better side. But you have players that I would take, like Diaz, potentially. Not Gallagher. There's another lad as well. The lad at the back, the Coventry lad you just mentioned. I'd have him.
Dom Hyam.
Yeah, and I think I'd have your keeper as well. That's no shit on Muric for all the Muric fanboys start having a go at me. I just like what's he called again? Is it Kaminski?
Yeah, Kaminski's class.
He's a very, very good goalkeeper. But what are the players that you'd have from our side in your team?
That's a good shout. I think Maatsen would do us a good job, you know, at left back. We've got Harry Pickering, who's, you know, you mentioned on our show that Maatsen's maybe struggled defensively, but so's Harry Pickering. They kind of seem the same fullback really, and I just think maybe Maatsen would have more of an end product for us. I'd definitely take Jay Rodriguez if we could fit him in with Brereton, Diaz and Gallagher somehow. We like a front three. If you had them three running at you, I think we'd be laughing. And Benson as well. I think Rovers, maybe over the last few years, we've had Joe Rothwell that could come off the bench and, you know, change a game, and having someone like Benson who can come and do that for us and, you know, score maybe a goal, because like I've laboured on so many times on here already and on our channel, that we can't change a game, so someone like Benson's changed the game. I think it'd be really good to have.
Yeah, fair enough. I think that's one of our main strengths this season. Like when you look back at the bench, if we are losing 1-0, there are people that can come on and change a game, and we haven't had that for quite a while under Daesh. Not that he ever had a plan B anyway, but you know we never really had the options there anyway. To be fair, even if he did have a plan B. But right, we'll start wrapping it up then. Got into just over 20 minutes. Let's get some predictions then. I don't think many people, even if deep down they think, oh, we might lose this game, I don't think many people are going to predict a defeat for their own side here. So what's your prediction for this weekend's match, mate? Bearing in mind, I think the saving grace for me, how nervous I am, because you are capable of getting a result. As I've said, you've won the most games in the championships. Of course, you're capable of getting a result. You haven't been that good away from home. So that is my sort of like thing. I'm thinking, oh, maybe they won't be that good. Maybe they might just have an off day. But what are your thoughts? Are you expecting, you to be on it because it's a derby? Are you expecting a win? What are you expecting?
I think it depends how you tackle it. You know, I mentioned before that I like how much your fullbacks get forward, but that's kind of playing to our strengths. You know, getting Brereton Diaz in behind will win us the game. I think if you push forward with your fullbacks, that's our best chance getting behind. So if Company approaches it like he has been doing with the fullbacks, I fancy us for it. And I'm saying that a bit because it's Burnley. You know, if we were playing Sheffield United, I might be a little less optimistic. I just think that a lot of it depends on the Company factor, because I don't doubt that you've got quality. I don't doubt that one bit. But Brereton Diaz getting in behind that fullback is our move. It's kind of, if you watch your games, we get that ball over to him, let him do whatever he needs to do. I'm going to go for a 1-0 Rovers, and I hope that doesn't come back to bite me. I'd take a draw now. I'd snap your hand off for a 0-0 draw, 1-1, 4-4, maybe not 4-4. I don't think I'd handle it, but a draw would do us. But I'll go for 1-0 Rovers. Who knows, though? It's a derby day. It could be anything.
I'd be very surprised if it's 1-0 either way. I think there's goals in it. I think we've got a very good forward line, a very good midfield. We're also susceptible at the back, and which is where you're at your strongest. So I do think you'll have a bit of joy. I'm thinking it could be, it's typical in it, but I'll say all this, it'll end up being 0-0, like you say, or 1-0, you know, something like that. But it could even be like it's like 4-2, you know, something like that. I genuinely believe both teams will attack. We do get forward with the fullbacks. I'm hoping I don't know. I'm hoping he makes a couple of changes. I've discussed this on the therapy session we had earlier this week. If you haven't watched it, it's on the channel. Where do we keep the same fullbacks and let them go forward, or do we bring in a couple of, your Charlie Taylor and your Connor Roberts who are better defensively, but then we won't have that dynamic going forward. So you're going to kind of lose a little bit of that. So we'll see. I'm going to go 3-1 Burnley. Like I said, I do think we are the better team. I just feel man for man, like I said, we are the better side. I just hope, because we have had some games where we just haven't been that good. And you're saying that about yourselves as well. So I'm just hoping we catch it the other way around, because we went into that Swansea game recently of we weren't doing that well. I think they had won about 6 games in a row, making an assault on the playoffs, and we just absolutely dicked them, steamrolled them 4-0. They tried to press us, but they did this half-arse press, and it was so easy to beat. And I think you did this. The goal you conceded against Coventry, I watched it, and you tried to press. I don't know if you were tired or what, but you tried to press them, and it wasn't a very good press, and they got in behind you so easily. I remember looking at that and thinking, if they do that against us, we will murder them. But there's been games where you've pressed a lot better. So I'm hoping that, we just kind of catch you. But I think both teams are well up for it. They'll come out, they'll be able to hear the atmosphere in the stadium anyway, because obviously the changing rooms are underneath the away end, which is now half the home end as well. So they'll be able to hear all that. They'll be well up for it. So, it's going to be an interesting one. But, I mean, as I said on your show, I'll let you plug your channel now. But I'm not sure there's going to be many people here thinking, I'll go and subscribe to that. But you never know, lads. If we beat them, you might want to go over and watch it. So I just want to let everyone know where they can watch your stuff and where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find us on ROVERS. Like Joe says, if we win the game, plenty of stuff on there. Come and check it out. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. If we lose, then the channel might go silent for a week. But no, I enjoy EFL content. I do watch a bit of Burnley content. I'll admit it. I watch every Championship club that I can, watch. So if anyone does want to check it out, just come over and watch.
Yeah, definitely. I think I'll be similar. I think if we get beat, I might go into hibernation for a few weeks. Maybe do a 60-second review. That's it. But if we win, you bet there's going to be content coming at you left, right, and centre. But Dan, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for coming on the show. And this is a bit where I like to wish people good luck for the rest of the season. Just not that game. But I don't even want to say good luck for the rest of the season. And
we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, just terrible luck, please, mate. But thanks for coming on, mate. It's been a pleasure.
No, thanks for having me on. I've enjoyed it. And whoever wins Sunday wins, don't they? We've got the reverse fixture to make it up if we lose.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on, mate. It's been a pleasure.